After just 2 events, G2 has solidified themselves as the dominant team in North American Rocket League. But during the most recent Grand Final, Luminosity definitely seemed to find a couple of small cracks in the G2 armor. So we're going to be taking a look at a couple of moments here from Game 2 of the Grand Finals, on board here with Reddles to see what kinds of things he gets up to. So we're starting off right here at a 0-0 score, as Luminosity is going to push this ball on down the field. So Reddles is going to get bumped here, and as he's floating through the air, we're going to want to realize one thing right out the gate, and that is that after Magic Bear loses possession of this ball, one of the things that LG is going to do is they're going to apply as much pressure to the G2 players as humanly possible. If you guys might remember back to when we did our first G2 video on why they were so successful, G2's playstyle is all about attacking the ball as quickly as possible, always having another player ready to jump up and challenge the ball so as to not allow their opponents to have free touches and free space on the ball. What Luminosity is going to try to do here is they're going to try to counter that by trying to keep the G2 players off balance by constantly pressuring them with bumps and demos, which is what we'll see lead to a goal here. So after Magic Bear is no longer on this ball, he is just going to look for whatever bumps he can on these G2 players on the backline, while Cheese just waits patiently here towards the side wall, trying to basically bait out a touch from a G2 player by baiting the G2 players into going for the ball faster than they need to, therefore allowing another LG player to follow up for a free touch after the bumps do come out. So as we roll this forward here, we're going to see Magic Bear immediately go hunt down Beast Mode in net. Beast Mode will avoid the bump, but now he is in a bit of an awkward spot, having to have jumped over Magic Bear. He also needs to realize that Magic Bear is still behind him and could still be trying to hunt down yet another bump. In the meantime, Cheese here in the midfield does get demoed, but we'll see that even though he's gone, Atomic is already up in the air just hitting this ball towards the sidewall, and sure, maybe he might get a double tap and send it downfield, therefore leaving Reddles in a bit of a bad spot waiting for our last teammate to respawn. But Atomic is still going for this ball way faster than he would really need to, and even if he does pinch it all the way downfield, that is just going to remove all possession of the ball from Atomic and is still going to allow LG to take control at the end of the day. So as we'll see here, Atomic is just going to hit this ball up the wall, has a bit of a slow recovery, and Reddles, already reading that this is happening, is immediately going to go ahead and take the ball into his own possession and try to force this towards the backboard. Now, as Reddles is doing this, we can see down below that Magic Bear has already made a turn and is immediately heading back for more bumps on the G2 half, while we have our third player coming off respawn, pushing back up the field to rejoin the offense. So this circular demo pattern that Magic Bear is going for is really just keeping all of these G2 players on their toes, because not only do they have to keep in mind exactly what Reddles is doing this high up in the air, but they also need to keep tabs on where Magic Bear is so that he doesn't obliterate their entire defensive line. So Reddles now is going to make a fantastic play up here in the air as he actually gets a wave dash on the ceiling, uses that to propel himself forward, and then utilizes the boost he has to push this ball over the top of the player who's challenging immediately in Beast Mode. Again, the G2 playstyle is let's challenge the ball as quickly as possible, no free space. So Beast Mode's hope here is that he can get Reddles off the ball, Reddles will just hit this ball over the top, and then Daniel will be able to control the ball over to the side. The thing G2 is not accounting for is the fact that Magic Bear is now hunting these players who are rolling along the back line, both Atomic and then possibly even up to Daniel if he can get the demo here. So as we look forward, Reddles is going to get this touch over the top of Beast Mode, and looking down below, we'll see Magic Bear bump Atomic here up into Daniel, who's going to send him out of the play. So the constant nuisance that is Magic Bear is going to prevent G2 from maintaining their constant follow-up on touches, going to yield a bit of free space to LG as this ball bounces off the backboard, and even still, Magic Bear has landed right next to Atomic, and he's still bumping him. So Atomic just literally cannot buy any space at all, as the LG offense is just bearing down on these G2 players, trying to make them as uncomfortable as possible, and trying to make for absolute certain that G2 cannot play the style that they want to play. And because of this harassment on the entire G2 defense, Cheese is now able to jump into this play before Atomic can recover from the most recent bump, and just like that, he's able to put the ball into the net for a 1-goal lead for LG. That play really does all come down to denying what G2 wants to do. They want to be able to challenge the ball fast, not give their opponent space, and basically try to maintain control of the overall game as much as they can. By LG constantly harassing the G2 defense, and in a more general sense, the entire G2 team everywhere on the field, they make it much more difficult for G2 to be able to attack the ball exactly when they want to. If you just leave them to their own devices, they are just simply going to be rotating way too quickly for you to be able to beat them. If you try to catch the ball, they're just going to be challenging you one player after another, and it's going to be impossible to maintain control. If you go for booming clears, that works even better from G2 because now they get free possession without having to do much of anything. The only way to stop the speed in which G2 is able to constantly challenge the ball is to physically prevent them from doing it, either by a straight bump or removing them off the field completely. Looking at one more example here of how this physical playstyle really puts G2 in some awkward spots, we're now tied 1-1 about halfway through Game 2, and we're going to stay on board with Reynolds here as he rotates back. And again, the G2 idea is we are going to send this first player as quickly as humanly possible to deny as much space from our opponents as we can. So how do we resolve that issue? Well, we just have Reynolds go ahead and turn slightly and take Daniel off the field, therefore giving his teammates a ton of space to work with. So that's what we're going to see first off here as Reynolds does get that demo, and now he's bought a decent bit of space, especially considering the fact that Atomic is all the way over in the LG corner. So now Magic Bear can take his time on this ball, work the clear out, and you can see that as Magic Bear is working this ball out of his own half, Reynolds is still just hunting bumps here on the G2 side of the field, taking Atomic off the ball as well, so now we've already eliminated the first two layers of the G2 challenge machine, taking Daniel off the field to eliminate any initial challenge, and then removing the recovering player from the play as well, so that Magic Bear has even more space to work with. And now Reynolds is just going to be driving forward looking for whatever other bumps he might be able to get, just generally causing issues and awkward situations for the G2 defense. And stepping back just one quick moment, we're going to see how this aggression really works to allow LG to maintain offensive pressure. Because Reynolds is going to force Beast Mode to jump here. Beast Mode now is forced to get a touch. I mean, he'd want to get one anyway just because he wants to challenge the ball as soon as he can. But now he's in such an awkward spot that any touch he does get is going to be immediately pounced on by Cheese. Now Daniel is going to attempt to make up for this situation by just immediately diving on into the play, trying to beat Cheese out. The problem is that Cheese already has a read on this play, and they are again going to abuse the fact that G2 wants to go as fast as possible, and LG are again going to turn it into an advantage for themselves. So Cheese is able to dive in and get this beat on Daniel as well. That leaves Atomic back in an incredibly awkward spot, and when you're left all alone, sometimes mistakes do happen, but it is the incredible aggression coming out from LG that is forcing these awkward situations out from G2, not allowing the G2 players to position exactly where they want to and how they want to on the field, and preventing them from being able to challenge the ball as effectively as G2 might like. You combine all of these things together and it really puts the G2 players in a difficult spot where they have to think a lot more about how they're moving around the field, and the more things you can force a Rocket League player to think about, the higher the chances are that they will make a mistake, as we see here. I think LG really do have the recipe for success here. The question is, can they do it consistently without leaving themselves open on the back end? When you have such an aggressive playstyle where you're going to put yourself out of position to go for these bumps and demos, it is incredibly important that you pick precisely when and where you're going to go for them so they can be the most effective. We can definitely see that G2 does struggle against this physical game, but if you go to this idea too often or you don't execute to a high enough level, you are just going to be leaving yourself vulnerable for a G2 counterattack. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate each and every one of you that made it to this point in the video, and I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you click that subscribe button right down below so you make sure you don't miss any future Rocket League content. Additionally, if you'd like to be a bit more involved in the community that we're building here, feel free to join my Discord, which I'll have linked down in the description. And as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. See you later, guys.